Right on. Well, it's been a little while since I've been around. Took a minute to try and figure some shit out. See if we can't upgrade this motherfucker. Welcome to Thoughts Off the Stem. I'm Justin Barone, your friendly neighborhood pothead. And so this new year brings new shit, man. I'm going to try and do things a little bit differently. As you can see, there's no student in glass. Not because I don't want to do it. It's because I would like to keep focus to a certain extent. And I find that hitting that thing as I get older at the beginning of the show is not always the best move. Maybe when there's other people around. But so I've been working on things or trying to come up with ways to make this a little better for, you guys, the audience. Because I felt like near the end of the year, last year, 2024, I kind of got away from, or I recognized that I got away from how this podcast started. Because, it got very weed-centric for a while. And trust me, I love my weed, but that was not the purpose of this thing. The purpose of Thoughts Off the Stem is to get high, have a sesh, and talk about a variety of things. Not just one or two, not just one focus of, what weed we're smoking, or what it's like to be weed, or do weed, or get high, or, run a pot shop, or whatever. It's like a general hang. And I felt like I got away from that. So I spent some time at Christmas thinking about what it was that I had changed and why things were going the way they were. So we're back with a renewed sense. This time, we're going to talk about a variety of things. I'm still going to tell you stories and the stupid shit that I do. Like this episode, we're going to talk about vasectomies. That's right, vasectomies. I got neutered. Uh-huh. I'm going to tell you that story because that was recent, actually. And then we're going to talk about a couple other things like, all this crazy shit that's going on with Trump. And I started investing over the holidays. So I thought maybe we could start talking about that. Not that I'm giving investing advice because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just trying to learn, trying to do something with my money, try to find other avenues of having, making some passive income, I guess you could say. So, yeah, that's what this sesh is about today. This sesh, we're talking about dicks. Bigger dicks, apparently. And then what it's like to be a dick on the stock market. I'm just kidding. So recently I had a vasectomy. I've been dating somebody. Well, I have a girlfriend now, guys. I have a girlfriend, okay? It's fucking amazing. I know, I'm such a dork. And I have a girlfriend. And she's hot. So hot. So one of the things that I've wanted to do for a while since I got separated 10 years ago or whatever, I've been wanting to get the snip because I don't need any more kids. I'm fucking 43 years old, going on 44 this year. I don't need extra little Justins running around. I've already got 3. They're enough. That's all I need. So now that I'm, active with a new person, I decided it was time to, let's be honest, we decided, but I decided that it was time to get the snip and prevent any more little Barones to run around this planet. The world has enough now. So for those of you that are wondering what it's like to get a vasectomy, let me detail it, okay? We're going to talk about the whole process start to finish. So what's a vasectomy like? I noticed, this is what happened, all right? So, I think it was September or October of 2024 when I decided that, I should get a vasectomy. Things are getting pretty serious. We're doing a lot of fun stuff, but neither of us wants babies. So let's do that. And so I went to a local, I got on a, oh my God. In the vape cart, I'm smoking, Spinach's CBG Pineapple Paradise, I think is what it's called, or pineapple something. Pineapple Starfruit. It's CBG, so it's, an upper, a nice sativa. The only problem is it has a bit of a crash at the end. Anyway, that's all we're doing right now. We're talking about balls, dick and balls. Okay, so around September or October, I had decided that it was time to get a vasectomy. So I was able to get my family doctor to book me an appointment at one of the urology clinics in town. So I go in, they submit the referral, and then I get a call back like a week later. Let me tell you how this call went, okay? It was fucked. So I get a call from this lady, and she goes, "Hello, Justin Barone?" I go, "Yep, that's me." She goes, "Okay, well, I have an appointment for you." I was like, "An appointment for what?" Because it doesn't say what it didn't say what the doctor, like, that it was the doctor's office. It was just a phone number. I don't know who this fucking person is. She goes, "I have an appointment for you at 8:30 a.m. I go, "Tomorrow? Today? Can't be today because it's 11 a.m. She goes, no, an appointment for, and then she says the vasectomy clinic. And she goes, "At this place at 8:30. I'm like, 8:30 tomorrow? Like, I'm not prepared for this. I thought this was going to take like a week or two at least to set up, you know? And she goes, "No, 8:30 a.m. I go, "Okay, 8:30 a.m. when?" She goes, 2025. I go, "Okay, it's 2024. I'm so confused right now, and it's Wednesday, all right?" So she goes, "No, 2025, 8:30 a.m., November." And I'm like, "But it's November, like it's November now." Like, what is happening? I thought Groundhog Day was happening, but not Groundhog Day, future Groundhog Day, okay? I thought I was getting stuck in a fucking loop of stupid for a minute. And then she finally explains, this took 20 minutes, by the way. She finally explains that, no, they've set up an appointment. This is like my doctor calling me to tell me that they had submitted the referral. The referral was accepted. I have an appointment November 28th, 2025. What? Why does it take a year to get a referral to get this done? And then I thought, well, you know what? Like, healthcare is kind of fucked right now. So, okay, it probably makes sense. And then I was still confused because I'm like, is that the day for the vasectomy? Or is that like, what is that? And she goes, so I said, "Can I have the clinic's number so I could call them direct and better understand what the fuck is happening here?" Okay. So she gives me the clinic number. I call the clinic. The clinic says, "Yep, nope, you have an appointment for November 28th, 2025. That appointment was the consultation. What? Are you fucking out of your mind? It's gonna take me a year to get a consultation to like understand that once you get the snip, like, you're probably not gonna have kids again. I want that. That's why I'm calling you. I don't need to fucking wait, you know?" So she goes, "Yeah, no, that's just the consultation." She goes, "Then from there, you're gonna be like another 6 to 8 months out for the actual procedure." I was like, "So in 2 years from now, I can be child free, like less. I could be popping blanks." But for 2 years, I have to, like, you know, dodge the shots, I guess you could say. I don't know. So I called my girlfriend. I tell her what the problem is. And I say, "Hey, look, this could take like 2 fucking years." I figured like a year maybe because of like wait times and whatever. And she goes, "I got a guy." I go, "Okay." So she gives me, she calls her doctor, and her doctor says, "Yeah, no, go into this clinic, see this person on a walk-in clinic, and talk to them about it." So I go all the way to fucking Burlington, which is, so you're talking like 60 kilometers away, so like a 45-minute drive to go to a clinic there to see this dude, and then he'll help me out with like finding a better place that has more availability, I guess, right? So I go see him on a Saturday. By Tuesday, I had him calling me to say, "Hey, this place is going to, you got to call this number. They have your referral. They'll set you up, and it shouldn't take 2 years to get done." So I finally, on Wednesday, I call the place. I say, "Hey, what's the deal?" They say, "Oh, we can do it like next in the new year." This was like mid-November. I was going away in December for like a month. So the best time to do it was definitely the new year. They had a date within 2 weeks of the new year. And then you go see the person, and they do the consultation, and then they do the procedure right after. I was like, what kind of fucking Twilight Zone am I living in that I have to wait 2 years in my hometown to get my dick snipped so I don't have to shoot fucking active childs around, okay? So that gets all set up. I have all of Christmas to think about it. to worry about it, whatever. I wasn't worried about it, and I'm not worried about it for probably two reasons. One, because I've had major surgeries before, so, cutting a couple wires so the bomb doesn't go off is not like, the end of the world to me. It's I'm pretty okay with it. But there's one standard that goes across the whole line of questioning from people, and when you're talking to a doctor, the very first thing they say to you is that you're the same person after the procedure. So, like, my vibe is that a lot of guys are worried that they're gonna go ladylike, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the mentality is, but I'm thinking to myself, they're not cutting them off. They're just taking the secret sauce out of the batter. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was funny to me that every time I saw or talked to a doctor or nurse on the phone, the very first thing they said before they said hello or anything else was, "Don't worry, you're going to be the same man. It's fine. You're going to be fine." I'm like, okay, I didn't expect not to be. Like, do you fuck up? Is that why you're telling everybody? But no, it's because I guess a lot of guys are really worried about it. So here's the thing. Let me tell you. Don't worry about it, man. You're the same dude. You're just going to walk like a fucking cowboy that's been riding a horse for about a month. For, a couple weeks. And you're going to be very tender. You're going to be very, like, it's more psychological, really. So I had this whole month to think about it. I had a lot of time to digest. I don't know what that sound was. I made a weird sound there. I had a lot of time to digest what was going to happen and whatever. So I wasn't worried. I have my kids. I'm not worried about it. She's got kids. She's not worried about it. I wasn't really worried about the whole procedure. I was more concerned that, like, it was going to be painful. Because, like, I don't like pain. I don't know who does, but I'm sure there's some people out there. This is not a pain I want. I don't want to feel it in my balls. So we set up the appointment mid-January. I get this done probably now at this point. It was like 2 or 3 weeks. No, about 3 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah, about 3 weeks ago. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what is this going to be about? And I had no anxiety. Until I get to the fucking place that I have this referral to. I'd never been there. It was down just outside of the town where I had gone to get the referral. And you go into this place and it's like a little strip mall. You know what it felt like? It felt like going into the fucking Quickie Mart in The Simpsons and, like, Apu was going to do the fucking vasectomy in the back room with a hairy hot dog beside you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it felt like. I walk into this place. It's not a very pretty building. And it's very much like a multi-office singleplex. Just like, a bungalow of a building. And or a one-story building. And so I go in this door. Now, this waiting room is like, there's like 7 chairs, and like the 8th chair is jammed into a corner beside a plant because there's no room. It's like a tiny little hallway. If you could see this podcast studio, it's about that size. Might be a little bit bigger, but it's not that big. And then they have this makeshift desk with a giant glass window, and then an office cubicle divider as the hallway wall. I was like, I don't know how great I feel about this right now. And then you go in, you go to the counter, you have to pay for your little, like, aftercare bag, for your ibuprofen and bullshit. And I'm at the counter and the lady's like, "Oh, do you have the filled out forms?" I'm like, "What filled out forms?" She goes, "Oh, like the filled out forms about, like, medical I'm like, no one sent me that. So I fill that out really quick, give it back to her. And as I'm kind of standing there waiting, because her boyfriend comes in with coffee, and in the middle of me filling out this form, she gets up, goes around, meets, like, he walked to the back. I'm like, "You're not a fucking doctor, dude." So he walks to the end of the cubicle wall. He gives her coffee. They talk for like 15 minutes. Then she comes back to the window, and she's like, "Okay, so I'll take the $120 now." And I was like, wow, there's like no, like, I'm about to get my balls snipped, and there is no sort of like, let's get to know you here. It's just a bunch of like very cut and dry transactions, like, here you go, there you go, minute. It was very like mechanical, let's say. So as she's standing there talking to her boyfriend, I look. And I'm not worried at this point. There's no anxiety. I'm like, I'm just doing a thing, whatever. I'll be done by 10. I'll be out of here. It's good to go, Or 10:30 this morning, and then I could spend the rest of the day sitting on the couch with my bag of peas. So as she gets up and goes to talk to her boyfriend, I fucking look behind the desk, and again, this is like a little makeshift area, right? So behind the desk is littered with shredded paper. Like, what the fuck? It's so dirty. And then there's like a bag of shredded paper off to the side. These are not things that you want to see when somebody is about to open up your fucking nutsack, okay? You're like, my balls potentially are going to be like out and displayed in this room. If your reception area looks like fucking the giant wannabe paper man took a dump in your fucking office area, all I could think is like, what do your fucking operating rooms look like? Do they look like, or your, I guess it's not an operating room, but like your doctor rooms, what do they look like? Patient waiting area, I don't know, whatever. So, man, it was bad, dude. That's the only thing that made me freaked out. Not having my dick cut open or filleted or whatever, but the fact that the whole place was so dirty that I didn't know what to think of it. You know what I mean? It started to make me think like, oh my God, what's this room like? Like, am I going to get like are they going to snip my wires and take my kidneys and then sell them on the black market? I don't fucking know. But that's what I felt like. So I start texting my girlfriend. So I text my girlfriend. I'm like, oh, you should see this place. I'm a little nervous. She's like, no, it's fine. Just go through with it. I'm like, okay. She was actually very supportive. But she was very much like, well, you're there. So I'm sitting there looking around. I'm like, it's not that bad. Not a big deal. It's a little bit of paper. The room should be nice and like cleaner, obviously, because they have to, you know. So fingers crossed. Now, when they give you your little package, they give you this like Band-Aid that's like a freezing Band-Aid, right? So you have to put this freezing Band-Aid on your fucking balls. On the top of your nuts, between your dick and your balls, right? On the front side, not the back side. Can't go taint. You have to go dick up here, balls down here, patch in the middle. And it's for freezing. It's so that the area freezes. And then when you go into it takes an hour. So you have to go, pay all your shit. It's a regular doctor's office too. So there's people coming in for like vacation shots, a cough, a cold, a fever, like everything. And you're just sitting there going like, I'm just trying to get my fucking wires diffused so that I'm not blowing shit up, you know? And these people are coming in like hacking on you. It's gross, dude. So you have to have this patch on your dick and balls for like an hour before it actually takes effect, and then they can do the procedure. So you're just sitting in this stranger waiting room with a patch on your balls, feeling all weird, playing phone games and texting while you're waiting for your balls to freeze. Then at the hour mark, they call you, they take you into the back room, they have your consultation, and then they do the procedure right after that, right? So I'm sitting on the chair, and it's like 45 minutes in, and I'm like, my balls are not frozen. Like, I can still feel my balls. I feel like I shouldn't be feeling my balls right now. Like, when I go to the dentist to have a tooth removed, I can't feel this whole, like, general half of my face. I'm very concerned that there is paper everywhere in this motherfucker, and nobody swept. They have a cubicle wall as a hallway wall, okay? And on top of this now, they gave me a freezing patch that doesn't seem to be freezing shit. So the anxiety started to go up a little bit, you know? Anyway, and you're in there with like maybe 2 or 3 other dudes that are getting the same procedure done, and it stunk. Like, the thing was, I realized after the whole thing though, that it wasn't necessarily the room that stunk, it was the fucking dude in the room that was there before me that stunk, because when he left, it smelled a lot better. So it was all these different factors, and like I said, I've had major surgeries. I'm not overly concerned about like a snippy snip here, you know? So it goes to an hour. I still can feel my balls. I'm slightly concerned. They call my name. They take me into the room at the back. The nurse goes, okay, so put this gown on, take your pants off, get up on this thing, and the doctor will be in to talk to you in a minute. So you're sitting there half naked with a shirt and one of those like hospital gowns on, right? Doctor comes in, balls hanging out. Not the doctor's, yours. And then he basically tells you the same thing. Okay, so don't worry, you're gonna be the same person when you're done. Okay, and then he goes through it like, how many kids do you have? Oh, I got 3 kids. How long have you had? There, whatever. It's been, I don't want any more kids. I'm 100% certain. I don't want to reverse it. I'm good. I want to be able to fucking shoot loads without thinking about it. Okay, I've served my time of worry, and I don't want it anymore. So I tell him that. That's literally word for word what I told him. So then he does his little spiel and he tells you like, okay, this is what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. And I picked scalpelless because like, I don't want to see a knife near my nuts, So they do the whole thing with like lasers, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really look. It's not like a needle where you could sit, look at it, go in your arm and then be like, cool, man. You're looking at your balls getting, like... It's like Dexter is about to remove a piece of you, You don't want to watch that. You just want to be like, nothing's happening, right? So, what they do, you lay back, fucking nuts hanging out, right? The weirdest part is because they have to move shit, is when the doctor takes your dick and just goes like, I don't need that there. And he gently lays it on its back. Dude, when he did that, I giggled, and he's like, what? I'm like, I don't know. Never had that happen before. So anyway, so he's finishing his spiel, right? And he's like, okay, so we're going to do the procedure. And I go, yeah, okay. One thing, though, before we start, I could still feel my balls. I don't feel comfortable feeling my balls. And he goes, he laughs. He goes, don't worry about it. That's not the way that this works. It freezes, like, the wires so that when we cut the wires, it doesn't hurt. So I'm like, okay, cool. He goes, but he goes, oh, also, I'm going to give you another injection. Now, this is the thing you don't want to look at. The giant needle he's going to stick in your dick, okay? It doesn't go in your dick. It goes in your balls. But he goes, if you need anything, if you feel anything, he goes, you tell me, and I'll just give you another whap, whap. I'm like, all right, doc. Holy Christ. So I'm laying there. He's taking things out. You know what's weird? When somebody puts an elastic band around your nut. That is a weird feeling. Because basically what they do is they cut 2 little holes, and then they take the right side's wires out. They put like an elastic band around your nuts to like obviously secure it and like make sure that, the blood flow is cut off a little bit. So, things work a little better. So, and then they pull your wires. This, I'm assuming, I didn't look, but this is what it felt like, kind of. It felt like they pull the wires through this little tiny incision on your scrotal sac, and they pull it out, and then they like laser cut it, and then they like solder it at the ends. And they're like, okay, done. We have these 2 wires now. They're useless, but out. So they throw it back in. Then they do the left side, right? So the doctor's like, he goes, so if that happens, you just let me know. But yeah, your balls don't have to be frozen. So I'm like, okay, fine. I mean, like, you'll still feel your balls. You just won't feel the pain. I said, okay, cool, doc. And then, I did ask him, like, what about testosterone? Do I have to worry about taking testosterone? Like, will it affect? I'm already 43, so I'm assuming, because I haven't had it checked, that I'm losing some testosterone, right? And so I thought, like, well, if this happened, like, will this affect that? He goes, nope. None of that gets affected. Literally, the only thing that happens is that you are no longer, well, it's 99.9% successful, right? So, or effective. So, it's like the best way, other than not fucking, to not have kids, right? So, where was I going with that? I just totally had a brain fart. Hold on. Beer time. Cheers. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking around this long. I hope you like learning about vasectomy visits. Okay. So, they pull the wires out. They solder it all, blah, blah, blah. They put it down. Now, when he did my left nut, okay, I did feel it. And then he did, and then it was fine. Like right away. And then one of the things that I did notice, because, when you're a dude, you're sitting in the waiting room, you're watching all these motherfuckers, like, walk out and be like, okay, what's happening, How do they look? Does it look like it's painful? What's it feel like? Like, how is this going to play out, Well, the dude in front of me that came out, had the procedure before I did, he comes out, and that motherfucker, it looked like they took his balls and beat it on the side of a river like they were trying to dry it. You know what I'm saying? So he looked very tender, okay? When I was done, Oh, and at the end, they give you like your care package, right? And then you have this ice pack, and you have to put it in a jock strap. Make sure you get the right size jock strap, dude, because I picked the wrong. Apparently, that's right. Apparently, I'm bigger than I thought it was because the one I got was a little bit owie. Okay, a little too tight. And by the time you got it, you can't go like, "Oh, this one's not the right one. Can I have another one?" Because like your balls are on it. It's yours. So I was like, "All right." I needed a different size. But they give you this ice pack that you put in your underwear up against your nutsack, right? But it's like an actual pack. You know what you need? Peas, because they form to your junk, dude. Peas are like a godsend for if you get neutered, okay? You need to have that. So, everything gets done. It did not feel anything like I thought it would. Like there was literally no pain whatsoever. The one little like twang of pain that I felt was when he did the left side, and they I don't know what it was, but like it just wasn't frozen enough, so he like gave it another little squirt, and it was all good, you know. So when you're done, you have to put the jock strap on so that your balls are like cradled to you. Oh yeah, by the way, your dick goes like no more stuff. It just fucking goes right back inside. Okay, it is dead for, well, it's not dead, but it's like for 2 weeks your brain and your dick are not communicating because your dick is like, how could you do this to me? And your brain is like, oh my god, it's gonna be painful. There's not that much pain. The pain is kind of like later, and the pain is not like sharp pains like you would expect. It's kind of like a how did I describe it? It's like throbbing more than a pain. It's not like you'd expect it to be kind of like needles in your balls. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like you got kicked in the nuts really, really hard. Like your lower abdomen hurts, not really your balls, you know? And then you feel like you're just going to vomit for a bit. You don't, but it feels like you're going to. But it's not nearly as bad as I thought. So for the first day, it was pretty good. And you have to just sit around and do nothing. So excuses just to watch fucking TV all day and get high, right? And then gradually after a few days, you can start moving around a little. But it really does take like a week to get over the whole thing. And I was surprised because I had heard that it takes a few days, whatever. The doctor was like, no, you have to take a week off. You can't lift anything for about a week. And I go, yeah, but like I work at a pot shop. I don't do anything but like get up and walk back and forth, and then that's it, you know? And he's like, no, even that's gonna, you'll see. It's kind of uncomfortable. So I go, okay, whatever. I go, I'll just take the week off. So I figured I'd try to go back on like the Wednesday because I had this done on a Friday, right? But yeah, it feels like, so for the first day when you're icing and everything, I suggest, maybe you don't need to get a painkiller, but maybe get like some hybrid weed gummies so you don't have to get up and down, and just snack on those all day. Because that takes away, I had these rosin, these hybrid rosin gummies. They're 10 milligrams. I took 20 milligrams roughly. Well, when I first got home, about an hour and a half later while I was icing, I took those when I started to notice the pain, because the freezing wears off eventually, right? And then when I started to really notice the pain a bit, then I took the gummies, and the gummies wiped out the pain. Dude, I was giggling like an idiot on the couch at nothing. Like there was one point, I'm laying on the couch, okay? I'm looking up at the ceiling, and like, I can't believe I could shoot loads that aren't going to get people pregnant. That's awesome. That means I could do it whenever I want. I can just bang and not worry about it. Because it was worrying me for a bit. And yeah, so that was like the first. That was good. That was really good, actually. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. Okay. So you get home, lay on the couch. Once the freezing and the freezing and everything wears off, then what you do is you get you have a couple of these hybrid fucking gummies. And if you want to know what they are, what I'm going to do now. Actually, hold on. Let me tell you this. So you have the weed gummies, right? And then everything's good. You just giggle. It kills. These ones especially killed, like give you good body buzz, so it killed all the pain. It was excellent. And then I just had a good time watching TV and giggling like a fucking idiot. I think for the first couple days, it's a little more mental. than anything else, because you're still wearing this jock strap that like pulls everything up to you and like keeps it all nice and snug. After a while, it gets a little annoying though. So I think it was day 2 I started wearing it less. But yeah, it's not nearly as bad a process as you think it is, okay? It's not at all. In fact, it would be, I don't know what your pain tolerance is, but my pain tolerance is pretty fucking high. So, it didn't really bother me too much. It didn't start to bother me until like day 4 or 5. No, 4. 3 or 4, sorry. Day 3 or 4 when I started actually like moving around more and icing less. Because I didn't want to be dependent on icing. So I would ice my balls in the evening as opposed to throughout the whole day. And I started gradually walking around more. Oh, one thing you got to remind yourself of, okay, is this. The hang. That's what I'm saying. The hang. Remember the hang. So after the first 3 days, when things are like feeling good and you decide to take that little jock strap off that's keeping your nuts cupped up to your fucking body, nothing's hung before or hung in a while. So everything is kind of like, please don't stretch me. Okay. And then they hang. And the next thing you know, throb. Yep. And then when you walk, you don't think your balls bounce around that much when you walk. They bounce around a lot, dude. It hits your leg. You're like, what? If your sack gets stuck to your leg, you know, dudes know this, and it starts to pull, pinch. You're going to get a pinch, bud. Okay? That's when you start to notice that things are separated, is when you start moving, because your balls will get stuck to your leg. Your sack, because I'm 43, is like saggy. So when it shifts and moves, then there's like occasional pinches. If you don't sit gently, watch out. It's going to be a little bit owie, okay? Also, you never realize, well, I didn't. It seems to be that, like, when you get neutered, you forget that your balls rest on cushions, okay? When it's resting on a cushion, you forget that when you stand up, that presses your balls down into the cushion, okay? Again, guys know this. You could get somebody could go the wrong way, and your balls, you know? So, just be aware that if you stand up, do it from the legs. Don't do it from the shoulders. Don't roll forward and push your nuts off the thing. It'll hurt a bit. But yeah, ultimately, overall, it was I had teeth removed. I hated that way more than having my balls snipped. I was also way less worried about it. So, not that you wanted to know, but now you know. That's what it's like to have a vasectomy. It's fucking weird. If you go to the wrong place, you feel like you're in some fucking seedy movie where you're going to lose kidneys and organs, because once you go in that room, you might have to fight your way out. Who knows? Could be Russians trying to take your shit. That's what I thought. Dude, also, for the clinics out there, clean your fucking workspaces. No one wants to go in where they know they're going to get opened up and see a bunch of fucking dirty shit everywhere. Like, if there's one place to make things be like emergency room clean, it's probably where you're going to open someone up. So like paper on the floor and empty coffee cups on the windowsill, probably not the best thing to have laying around. Maybe get less lazy staff if that's what they're doing. Yeah. But yeah, so the first guy that came out, apparently I heard that when he tried to get in the car, he needed 2 people to help him. I came walking out like it wasn't anything. I was skipping, like fucking almost skipping. I wasn't skipping. But like the hardest part is trying to act normal, because everybody knows what you're coming out with. You have a little brown bag. The other dude in front of you did that. There was probably another guy that came out somewhere in between that. Like all these, what are they getting? Why do they get like fucking party favors and shit? Because we just had our nuts removed, okay? We didn't. But my kids bugged me all weekend about that. But yeah, I got in the car, no problem. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. It's more mental anticipation, I think. Trying to, you're more worried about what you think is going to happen than what's actually fucking happening. Because when it happened, it wasn't so bad. But I do recommend, I do recommend peas and hybrid gummies in aftercare. Okay? My girl, she got me the peas because a friend of hers had said, no, he needs peas because they conform, like it's like putting a mold on your dick. It was great, dude. Like, I never realized how much I enjoyed frozen balls until that day when I kept putting the peas on my balls. It was excellent. Okay. And then, yeah, the hybrid gummies. And okay, so that's one of the things I want to talk about. So in this episode, on the podcast now, instead of reviewing the weed that I'm smoking, I might mention it or whatever, but I'm going to do, I have on the channel, I have a playlist of Sunday strain reviews where every Sunday I try to put out a new review of whatever strain I smoked on the podcast. But instead of doing the review on the podcast, I'm going to start doing them separately so that there's separate videos for those of you that want to see it. For people that don't care, I mean, there's really no point in telling you. I'll mention what I'm smoking so that you know, and then you can see what the high's like and maybe try it if you want to. But I'm not going to go into in-depth reviews. I'm going to do those separate. So like I said, I'm changing the podcast a bit. I also there's, obviously with, the election and everything, there's all kinds of new shit happening with Trump in office. So we're going to do... news. We're going to do a little bit of news. That's right. We're going to talk about Trump. Because one of the things that I have started to pay more attention to is politics, the news in general, because I started investing. So if you're investing in stuff, you have to really pay attention to everything that's going on around you. I never cared about politics. I never cared about what was going on in, all these different things. I knew, but I didn't get invested in it. Well, now because I'm invested in it. How many times can you say investing? And so the first thing that I had to do, because I was doing so well, I started buying some stocks just before Christmas when I went away to see family and stuff. And so over the Christmas break, I had bought a few stocks. I was paying attention to some things. Obviously, the election was coming to a close, or the election race was coming to a close. There was going to be a new president. And I just wanted to try my hand. I've always wanted to try and play the stock market a bit. I don't make I buy penny stocks, man. I'm just trying to see if I can understand it. I'm reading books to try and understand it better. I'm trying to watch the markets, watch how investors work, find some new ways to make some extra money, I guess, without taking too big a risk, because I don't want to be spending a few grand on things. I want to sort of diversify my shit and see if I can make certain things work. So I started having to pay attention to the news, because if you don't know what the economy's doing, then you're already like a step back, right? You're a step down. And you don't want to treat it like gambling, even though it is gambling. You don't want to just walk into the fucking casino and throw a quarter in the slot machine and hope you win $20 million. You want to try and make the best educated bet you can, right? So the biggest part of learning about stocks is that you then have to learn about the companies, what they're doing, how that relates to the markets, how that relates to society, how that relates to the economy, how that relates to industry in general, right? So a big part of my focus was now, I gotta pay attention to Trudeau and Trump because I'm Canadian. So I don't like Trudeau. I'm glad that he resigned, because I think that there was a lot of shit that he was doing that was fucking stupid. I don't know who the best is. I'm not trying to say that I do, okay? I'm just saying that these are the things that I had to start paying attention to. And I remember back in the day when Trudeau first became prime minister, one of the guys I worked for was like, "Oh, you must like Trudeau. He's a boxer." I'm like, that's not my stipulation for who I want to lead my country. I don't care if you box. Oh, good. Trudeau can fight, but not really. He lost. So that's not one of my stipulations. But I did have to start paying attention to the news. So in the podcast, we're going to start talking about, I guess, a tiny little bit of Canadian politics and American politics, because I'm paying attention to the American shit, and I've had to really assess, Trump. I've really had to learn about this dude, because no one seems to have a handle. I don't think he has a handle on it. No one seems to have a handle on what he's doing. And I have a few theories on that. And I know in the past I've said, I'm not backtracking. I still think paying attention to people and listening to what they have to say can still help you, do better and all this stuff. However, I do think that some of the rhetoric is crazy, okay? Just like Trudeau does crazy shit too. He just doesn't do it in the same way. Like, the biggest problem is that if you're going to be any kind of political leader, right, you have to be, you have to be professional, dude, okay? You can't just go up there and make fun of everything and call everybody out. Like, sure, it's fun to watch sometimes, and if you have a sense of humor, you can look at it and go, that guy's a fucking moron, But a lot of people get really heated about this because it's religion. It's also... the amount of emotion that goes into this and politics and religion is insane. It's hand in hand, right? So I'm not saying, and I have never said that I support Trump or I support Trudeau. I'm just saying that you gotta listen to what they have to say and then sort of figure them out, and try to decide if what they're doing is the right thing. I think Trudeau is full of shit. He seems like a liar to me. He seems like every face he uses in the media and every speech he gives is some labored, overthought, like me please attempt at trying to gain some kind of attachment to his citizens. I don't like that. I went to high school with a lot of guys like that, two-faced motherfuckers, and I feel like I can sniff it out. And I feel like he was a little bit two-faced. Not a little bit, he was two-faced. He did shit that he shouldn't have done and was just like, well, I hate that shit. Own up to your fucking mistakes and deal with them, okay? Trump is the opposite of that. Trump is the guy... Okay, I said this, my dad and I were talking about this the other day, and this is how I equated him and Elon Musk. Trump and Elon Musk are like the frat bros at the bar, okay? Downing beers and being like, yeah, fucking nailed it, chug, chug, chug. Like that dude, okay? They're those two guys at the bar until everybody turns around and goes like, hey, the fuck are you doing over there? Calm the fuck down, okay? Keep it together a little bit here. Let's not act like fucking crazy people. And then when they get called out by a large group, they kind of go, yeah, sorry guys. We got a little out of hand. We got a little excited. Cheers. Whoa! That's the vibe that I get from them. So I started watching more Trump things, started reading more news about him and Trudeau and all that shit. Then obviously we've got the tariff fucking war going on, right? So I had to figure out what the fuck a tariff was. Okay? And why he would use them. Now, here's the thing. This is what I think based on this whole thing. Is that he's only using them as really a bully tactic to kind of get what he wants. Because he's not a career politician. So he's using aggressive sales tactics, essentially, to get other countries to change how they do things so that he can get what he wants for his country, right? Now, do I think it's a good idea? No, because you don't want your president, okay, telling everybody to go fuck himself. You want your president to have a little bit of diplomacy. Because, like I was saying earlier, if Elon Musk and him are the two frat guys in the bar causing shit and being all loud and stupid, right? Everybody else is going to turn on you. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when he sent that plane to Colombia, right? And then Colombia was like, no. And then he was like, 25% tariffs. Bam. And then Colombia was like, all right, we'll take them. Okay? He started doing that with other people. But as soon as people started pushing back, and as soon as there was more, outspoken everything, when there was more people outspoken about it in, politics across the world, he started to pull back a bit and be like, okay, guys, okay, Now, I know he would sit there and go, that's all fucking true. I know what I'm doing. I have a whole game plan. I'm sure you have a whole game plan, man. But I started to notice that he pulled back a bit. So that when he would what that tells me, okay, what it tells me when you pull back like that is that you're really just using this as a thing to do. And then get attention. Because clearly he knows how to get attention. He knows how to rile people up. He knows how to get emotion attached to whatever the issue is that he's trying to present, so he can take the credit for it, right? So in this whole tariff thing, it's clearly, to me, a push to get things that he wants for his country, to sort of like strong arm and scare people. It's scare tactics, I think, because I don't know, it's just evident to me, because as soon as they started pushing, the global community kind of went, hey, dummy, what are you doing here, right? And then you had shit happen like DeepSeek and stuff like that. Like, all these things started to... That's not what I'm trying to say. What the fuck am I trying to say? I'm just trying to say that with tariffs, they don't seem to help anybody, okay? And it seems to be the only reason that you would use them is to try to get other countries or anybody that has any kind of like business interests to get them to conform to what you want. Because if you apply tariffs to anything, no matter what, in the country that applies the tariffs or the country that's paying the tariffs, everybody's fucking expenses go up. Because as it was explained to me, when you apply a tariff to a good, the company that's importing that good pays that 25% tariff, right? Well, then they have to raise their prices to the distribution company that buys their shit. Then that distribution company has to raise that tariff or raise their prices to the retail company, let's say, right? And then the retail company has to raise their prices to consumers. So it just takes your expenses through the fucking roof. Your cost of living is going to go up. Your cost on goods is going to go up. And I get that what he wants to do is bring manufacturing back to the States. But the problem with that, the theory with that is, like, in my opinion, again, my limited opinion, but my opinion of that is that you want to manufacture shit in the States. Great. You still need a bunch of products to be able to manufacture that stuff in the States, because you don't have access to everything that you need to create certain products. So you still have to import them. So if you start putting tariffs on those imports, okay, your cost to manufacture it in the States is still more expensive. It's better for you, if you want to keep costs low, to be able to make those business decisions of passing, of trade, right? Of like equitable trade. Now, I'm not a business expert. I understand that. I run a pot shop, so I kind of understand a few things, and for what he's doing, it seems like the reason that he's doing it is for ulterior purposes. Like, I don't think the purpose that he's presenting is really the reason that he's doing it. And I don't necessarily think that he wants like ultimate power of anything. Now, again, could be wrong. Don't know. But it seems like he, as a businessman, is thinking in terms of like, if the country was a building and my business was in that building, how would I run my business? Does that apply to running a country? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But what that inevitably does is it fucks with the economy and the stock market, okay? So one of the things that I have a problem with this whole situation is that when you pick stocks, the ideal way to pick a stock is to learn about a business, understand its financials, and see at what rate it's growing, okay? Now, granted, I'm not trying to buy expensive stocks. I'm buying penny stocks to see if I can understand the game enough to be able to eventually buy bigger, more, expensive stocks, okay? So, in learning that, I've had to spend a lot of time in understanding what each company that I invested in does, why they're doing it, how they're going to continue to make money, their revenue reports year after year. So you got to read like quite a lot of shit, and you have to learn how to interpret numbers as well, which I haven't totally got a grasp on, but whatever. I go a lot on, this is what this company does, this is the product they make, this is why it's relevant to society now, and this is why it's going to be relevant in the future. So provided that the company is in a upward momentum, right, then it's potentially worth investing in. Not always, but those are the basics. So when I start learning about that shit, and then I look at tariffs, I go, well, this is just going to pause a lot of shit because nobody's going to do anything if they don't know if they can import or export anything. Okay? So the problem is I have a lot of technology stocks, which really got rearranged, let's say, with the whole CES convention and Consumer Electronics Show. Is that it? Consumer Electronics something. Anyway, that convention had a lot of my companies that I'm invested in because they do LiDAR sensors and stuff like that. So when NVIDIA announced their shit, that fucked with the stocks as well, because NVIDIA is like the leader in technology, or at least in chip production right now. So they're going, oh yeah, no, that's not going to be good. And then all of a sudden it falls off. I also witnessed my first like corporate espionage shit where I watched a guy over Christmas release a write-up about a company that he was supposedly partners with and just shit all over them. And then I watched that stock tank. And then I watched it come back up again. Because that stock, the company that got shit on, is actually building cybersecurity programs. Okay? And they're, so at this point, very successful in their trials. So in like 10, 15 years from now, it's going to be a company that I think is going to be at the top, the forefront of that, like a Microsoft, but for that, right? So I watched how everything manipulates the stock market. And then I realized that stockbrokers are babies because they panic over fucking everything. Maybe stop doing coke. Like, don't be all railed up because you guys, I watch you guys talk about these stocks as if like one day is the end all be all. Like, ultimately, you want to invest in these things and watch it run for a while. Like it's long term is what you should be doing. I don't know very much about day trading. The times that I've tried to day trade something, I fucked up and lost money. So whatever. But the long run is based on how well that business is going to do and what kind of market share it's taking up as it progresses, right? So when I'm watching this, I'm going like, okay, now we got tariffs to deal with. So the technology sector takes a hit, starts to bounce back. Now, right after that happens, we've got fucking Trump levying 25% tariffs on fucking Colombia, talking about doing it to Mexico and then Canada. And then Canada and Mexico are like, fuck you, dude. And then all of a sudden the stock market goes, we're not doing anything. Everybody stop. Everybody hold up. Stop it. Nobody buy. Nobody sell. Nobody move. It's like the FBI broke into P. Diddy's house and everybody was in the middle of a party. They're just like, whoa, FBI's here. Don't move. No move. If they don't move, they can't see us. You know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden, these 25% tariffs happen, and now other stocks that I have, like pharmaceutical stock, an energy stock that I had, and a healthcare stock that I had, everything stops. Because other than the gas one, the energy one, but the healthcare and the pharmaceutical stock, a lot of the product that they're testing, that they're trying to, work on and develop, a lot of that stuff comes from Europe. Well, now all of a sudden there may be fucking tariffs on it, so how much is that going to cost? So now everything starts to drop. Now you watch the stock market every day go, yay, oh no. Yay, oh no. It's almost based on what the fuck he's saying, dude. But like at the same time, I think that we as a society have to recognize that, like, I think, just again, my opinion, is that he's not going to try and like do anything too crazy. Nobody wants to die, okay? I don't think that anybody, I'm sure that when you're talking about taking over Gaza, like, are you fucking out of your mind, dude? You're gonna make it the Middle East Riviera? Though, that's been like 1,000+ year war, dude. And now it's starting to sort of like, it's culminated, okay? And now you're saying, oh, we're just gonna take it. You think they're gonna give it up that easy, dummy? They're not. Like, I understand that he's the U.S. and I understand that they're a superpower and all that stuff. But I think the global, like, reaction to all this shit is, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like he says those things so that the attention comes back to whatever business he's doing. But I think the motive is totally different. I think he's just playing a game, and everybody's buying in to, like, he's talking, okay, you know what he's doing? He's playing basketball, and he's the, like, little fat guy that can't play quite as well as every other player on the court. So instead of just being able to be like really good and dominant with his skill set, he has to talk a bunch of shit to get you off your game. That's what he's doing. He's just in your face like, your mama's so fat she was walking down the street and fucking, she kicked it, she was, your mama's so fat, she was walking down the street, she tripped, she cut her leg and gravy poured out. Like, that's what he's doing, okay? That's what he's doing to everybody. And everybody's like, oh, we better watch this guy. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't help that he has Elon Musk, the guy that has the most money, going like, I can do whatever I want, you know? That's kind of scary. A lot of it is scary. We live in a fucking different world, dude. But I don't think that his goal, can he keep a handle on it is the question. I don't think his goal though is to I don't think his goal is the dominance in the way that people think. I think that his biggest issue and his biggest problem is just the way he talks. Like, if he was more diplomatic and professional about shit, I think we would have a different opinion of him. But because he walks out there and says outlandish fucking shit, you know, I think that that's really what takes the cake on it. That's what really brings the whole thing to like a ballooned level of attention, you know? And especially like when you get when there's a few assassination attempts and you actually get hit, and then you get up and give the thumbs up and go, where's my shoe? Like, you're in, okay? Let's be honest. The rest of the world, I'm talking to you right now. Have you not seen any American movie ever? Like, that is their fucking messiah, is a dude that's going to stand up and be like, ha-ha, didn't get me, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy is in automatically. That could have been Bill Gates. And if he did the same thing, they'd be like, yep, right there, buddy. You lead the country. Because that's what their whole fucking, that's their mentality. Is like, we're the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. I think that's pretty much it. That sums it up. And I think that's what he's relying on. That's what he's pitching. I don't think that's anything new said, but like, I say, that's why I say it's worth listening to what everybody says, right? I've said in the past, like, I don't know why people get emotionally pissed off at Trump. You mention his name and they lose his shit. I still think that. Because, like, he's a dude trying to do a job. He may not be very good at that job. Will he make the biggest mistake? I don't think so. Because I think there's too many people nowadays that don't necessarily want the entire world to explode. Like, there's probably a couple. But I don't think there's a lot. I don't think there's as many as we think. So that's my take on that. Thank you for sticking around. Dude, you know what the only problem with this fucking vape cart is? Is that it keeps clogging. And I have to do the preheat. And the pulley pulls. Until the liquid pops. It sounds like I'm kissing it, right? Nothing. Come on, dude. We got it. We got it. It pulled. I don't know if you can see that, but it was a big cloud from my end. Oh. But yeah, I just think that there's, we're going to do sections on Trump because he gives up way too much there's way too much material, dude. Plus it affects all of us. So I feel like it's something worth talking about. And, it's almost as painful as a vasectomy. It's like being kicked in the balls and you want to vomit sometimes. Watching this guy do shit. I'm kind of fascinated at the swing of things. Like, if you watch the inauguration, right? You see all these people and like now all of a sudden there's a lot of celebrities that are like, no, I endorse you, blah, blah, blah. Like, what changed? Like, what happened there? If you want to go real conspiracy theory on it, I'm sure you could go pretty deep down a dark hole, But yeah, I don't, everybody kind of being questionable of this guy. I also just think, a part of me thinks he's just a dude that thinks he's hanging out with his buddies all day long, and he just says whatever the fuck he wants. Whether he means it or not, he just says it because he's like, it's the funny thing to say, or it's the thing to say because it'll get a reaction from my buddy, if you're sitting around with your friends, a lot of the times you say some shit to see, like, to make them laugh or make them think about something, whatever it is, right? I think that's what he's doing, just on a very international scale, which isn't really good from a president's point of view, because you don't really want to run your mouth and piss off the wrong person. Like, let's be honest. I feel like there's alliances happening that you just should be a little bit worried about. Plus, I don't like the fact that that causes the stock market and investors to go, hold on, we got to see what he's doing. We got to figure it out. Well, I don't think you're ever going to figure it out, because I think it's like it's a half quart of crazy and then like another half quart of like money, you know? And that mixture, just, you're never going to understand why they do what they do. So you have to kind of go along you have to pay more attention to his personality and how he reacts in every situation. Because no matter how good at people are at hiding what their motives are and stuff like that, it always comes out. It comes out somewhere along the line, and then you get caught and you're like, oh, this guy's just full of shit. And part of me is like, he's just full of shit. He's got some ideals that are questionable, but everybody's allowed their opinion. Just sucks that he's now the guy fucking pen is mightier than the sword, you know? But yeah, so in all that, I started paying attention to, I had to pay attention to that for stocks. So I also thought, as another new segment to the show, is that we would talk about some cannabis stocks and some industry news at the end of the sesh. So for the end of this sesh, I was going to talk about the fact that I have bought some High Tide stocks. High Tide is the parent company to Canna Cabana. And in my opinion, what they're going to be is the Costco of weed. They have a shit ton of locations across Canada. They have an electronic platform that fucking works really well. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it works really well, but it works. No, I'm just kidding. It's all right. But that electronic platform is global. Like, you can use that whole situation globally. They're invested heavily in the Canadian market. They're a big retailer across Canada. What else? They kind of have like a Walmart or McDonald's style business plan. They were a smart enough company to understand that in the beginning. So a lot of weed companies in Canada, they only sell weed. So they're relying only on the sale of cannabis products, and like papers and stuff like that, to make money. Whereas in a Canna Cabana, all of the stuff that they have, so they have accessories. They own the rights to a lot of their accessories. Almost everything that they sell, they get a part of, right? So they definitely have a much better situation, because as far as I understand it too, some of their products are bought by other stores. I mean, like, how good a move is that? You know, they're not only buying up retail companies, they're also buying up accessory companies that are struggling, from what I can tell. And their forward growth is going to be good. It's a very low, it's under $5, this stock. I'm not telling you to buy it. This is not advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing and what I notice. Okay. So I bought some shares of that because I feel like in the long run down the road, they're going to be essentially weed McDonald's, right? And I think that it's probably a good idea to be on this. Now, the only problem with that is because their expansion is not only in Canada, they're also trying to expand into other global markets where legal markets in Europe and Germany specifically, they have a much wider reach than any other cannabis company as well, right? So, like, once the States gets their shit together and somebody signs an order that weed is no longer federally illegal, you could guarantee that they're going to step into that market too. But they're priming themselves across the world. So if you're doing that as a company, I feel like that's something that's worth investing in. And their stock being under $5, I was like, this is right along my alley. Like, I would rather buy something for $1, but you know, whatever, it is what it is. And it's got, I think, pretty good long-term potential because they have a multi-layer business where most retailers and most parent companies of retailers just have that single flow where it's all just cannabis, or they're buying products from somebody else to sell on the side and their margins are considerably lower, whereas Canna Cabana's margins are a little bit higher. They're the only company that is in the cannabis industry that's on the market that is turning a profit. They actually have cash flow, whereas all the other companies are operating at a deficit with no on-hand cash flow, which is obviously a very good sign in the first 5 years of fucking of legalization. So I definitely say they're capitalizing on it, and it seems to be that they're doing it smart. They're not building brand new stores. They're basically buying out successful smaller stores and opening opening them across Canada. And they have so I was in Alberta over Christmas, and I have a membership. I mean, everybody has a fucking membership at this point, I think. And I could use it out in Alberta because the membership that's in it. This isn't, I should also say, this is not an advertisement. I'm just telling you what the business does, okay? I want to make that very clear. So, but you can use it in every store across Canada, which is good because, and it's easy. It's so easy. But anyway, okay, I'm going to stop making it sound like a fucking ad. That's ridiculous. But yeah, so in the last bit of the episodes, from here on out, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do story time. We're going to do news talk or Trump talk. And then we're going to do a little weed news. So my weed news is that High Tide, if you're looking into buying cannabis stocks, is the only company that is actually making a profit with except like a substantial amount of cash flow after 5 years in the cannabis industry. So it's worth looking into. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you what I have done and what I think it is. Okay? That's it. Just an opinion. That's all. And those are my thoughts off the stem for this week. I hope you enjoyed the sesh. Thank you for joining me, Justin Barone. And yeah, I hope you come back next week. I don't know if I'm going to keep releasing these on Friday. I might try different days. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the sesh. I hope you like the new setup. And I hope you come back next week. In the meantime, you can check out tots420.com for blogs, episodes, all that fun stuff. Everything you can think of. A little write-up of what I'm actually doing. And I'm going to put more effort into doing stuff like that. Putting more interactive shit on the podcast or on the website. So yeah, until next time. Wait, hold on. Gotta make sure this is working. Yep. Until next time, keep your lids low, baby. You know, I did a whole vape episode that time. That's pretty good. Vapes are good. Thoughts off the stem from a neighborhood party. Right on.